Jalen Hurts injured his shoulder and is going to miss the next few weeks. The Eagles are the number 1 seed, and no one really thought the Niners could catch them. But now, technically, if the Eagles lose the rest of their games and the Niners win the rest of their games, they have the same record. Do you think that could happen? What are the odds?
Well,
You think
I
that
know
happens?
the Niners are going to win the rest of their games. Cardinals, Raiders, and Commanders. I think the Niners. It'll be disappointing to me if the Niners didn't run the table. Who do they have? They have the Dallas, and Dallas probably going to get them on Christmas Eve.
Let me see.
That's in Dallas, I think.
Let me see. So they got Dallas in Dallas, and then New Orleans, and then the Giants at home. Both of those.
Well, that's interesting. New Orleans has got a good defense. I think the Eagles will win a game and be the 1 seed.
Yeah, I actually think that they can win with Minshew. The Eagles are really interesting to me. I feel like the Eagles and the Niners are built similarly in the sense that they're not looking for a quarterback to pay a bunch of money to supposedly carry them. They're looking to spend money on the rest of their roster and carry their quarterback. And I think both teams do it really well. I'm not saying they're carrying Jalen Hurts, but he doesn't make any money. They don't pay him. Gardner Minshew makes more than Jalen Hurts, and it's why their offensive line is so good and their defensive line is so good, and the whole team is so good. Really, no one can really match the Niners and the Eagles rosters. The only
No
teams
question.
that are no one can match them, but the
Nope.
teams that
Best
maybe
best
can
in the
beat
NFC
them,
for sure.
yeah, the teams that might be able to beat those two teams are the teams with the Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks in the AFC, of course. But if you can't get one of those quarterbacks, it's probably best to do what the Niners and the Eagles do. And I think the Eagles are essentially built to win with Minshew the way the Niners are built to win with Purdy. I'm just saying.
Both GMs deserve a ton of credit. Lynch
Hell
for
yeah.
picking up McCaffrey, and for having this amazing draft this last year on Purdy in the last round, things like that. Howie Roseman, seat trading for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson from the Saints at the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
added an impact safety on the back end. The drafting, Javon Hargrave, Milton Williams, they got all kinds of guys. Yeah, no, the Eagles and the Niners have done it right personnel-wise. Those are really good rosters, and you're totally handicapped it right because that and the AFC, they got the Hall of Fame quarterbacks. That's probably why they'll be favored in the Super Bowl. But the Niners and the Eagles are easily the 2 deepest teams in the NFC.
Absolutely. So and one thing I like about the Eagles that I think the Niners should aspire to is their offensive line. They do not mess around on their offensive line. It's the best in the league. They're really good at drafting, developing it, and I feel like there's no reason the Niners can't do that either. They have a great defensive line, but nothing against Jake Brendel, who's actually doing pretty well this year. But
Yeah.
they could do better. They could do better. Burford has promise. He's young. Banks looks good. Man, McGlinchey, they got to find a better right tackle than McGlinchey. McGlinchey would never play for the Eagles. Never play for the Eagles. So I just think the Niners could step it up a little bit. And the other thing that's scary about the Eagles, I think they have a top 5 pick next year.
And they've got good depth. The
Yeah.
guy in the draft that everybody wanted the Niners to grab from Nebraska, Cam Jurgens, they grabbed him. He's sitting behind Kelsey.
That's right.
But they swung and missed on Andre Dillard, the Washington State kid, because they drafted him in the first round to play left tackle, and they're starting Jordan Mailata, who's monstrous and talented in his own right. But it's Philly's got the big question to me is, can the 49er D-line put enough pressure on, Hurts or Minshew in this game in Philly behind that Eagles outstanding O-line so that the Hafangas and the Gibsons don't get burnt in coverage by Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown? That to me is the whole NFC in a nutshell.
In a sense, like the Eagles match up better than any team in the league with the Niners' full-strength offense because the Eagles have the best offensive line in the league. Kansas City has a very good one too. But this Eagles offensive line is great, and it's going to be interesting to see if these teams ever play each other, how that matchup goes. I think the Eagles are a little bit better than the Niners. But
I think they're a little bit better too, but their O-line I think is a little bit better than Niner D-line. But the Niner D-line is so deep that if the Niner D-line comes at you in waves, and if they can discover a few more players, maybe a Kinlaw, maybe a Kalia Davis, I think, the Niner D-line is maybe a player away from just being, too much for everybody. So
That's what I was going to say. If the Eagles can't stop them, then they're unstoppable.
Yeah, I know.
Straight up. The coach says Gardner can deliver the ball more accurately and efficiently than Jalen Hurts. What he gives up in athleticism, he covers it with way better quarterback play than Jalen. Don't sleep on him. I'm not sleeping on him. I actually think that they can win quite easily with him. Their team is so good. They're all the way over there on the East Coast, but their team is really good. That trade for A.J. Brown was really smart.
You know
what the Titans were thinking.
Another one, Grant, is what are you rooting for here? Are you rooting for Gardner Minshew to play poorly so they're a one quarterback team? I'm actually rooting for Gardner Minshew to play well because I've been in that town. If Gardner Minshew plays well, they got sports radio up the kazoo. They'll make themselves sick with Minshew or Hurts, despite the fact that, just for the opportunity to do it, not because it makes sense, not because anybody really believes it, just because why the hell not, right? And then I think that would turn into a beautiful distraction. And if you could get the Eagles in January, Grant, with Hurts with a bum shoulder in the middle of a city that's in some, Twitter uproar over the quarterbacks, that might be the Niners' best chance to go in there and win.
See, I'm rooting for Gardner Minshew to fall on his face and lose all the remaining games because if it's all the same, I'd rather not fly to Philly in January.
Dallas could beat them.
Yeah. It's always sunny in Philadelphia, but I'd rather not go to Philadelphia in January. I mean, it's a trek and it'll be cold, and I like hanging out at home. So, but I also like traveling. I'm just saying, yeah, Gardner, you could lose.